All right, good morning, everyone. It's 10 o'clock. We are going to get started with this week's edition of the Long Coffee Break. My name is David Rodenberg, and I've been at Long for over 20 years, and I am part of the Long Air Distribution team. And I'm excited today to talk to you about a company called ProR that makes some outdoor prefabricated ductwork that I think you're going to find interesting, and hopefully you'll find some uses for it on some projects that you're doing. So ProR Duct is a company owned by a company called Ducts and Cleats, and we've been representing them for quite some time now and have used them on a few projects around town. So the main question here is what is this project for, right? We use outdoor duct all the time for many reasons. Maybe we can't locate the rooftop units directly over the shaft. Maybe we have multiple rooftop units serving a common shaft. So we might need to run ductwork, in some cases quite a bit of it along the rooftop. So the problem we've seen over the years is that the ductwork that people are using on the roof is just standard ductwork that they then hire an insulator to come out and wrap with fiberglass. And that causes all kinds of problems related to water, weather, hail, things like that. And so the main issue, obviously, is that you've got this fiberglass, which is an open cell type insulation. It's going to absorb water pretty quickly. Anytime you have any sort of duct penetrations with screws, you're going to have water getting in. And even sealant, which people use, can break down over time out with the UV rays, out with the sun. So all these kinds of problems with just traditional ductwork. And so obviously, if we're getting leakage in the duct, we are getting water in the duct. And so we've got really two main issues going on here, which is water getting in and then energy being wasted. So what happens is when the insulation gets wet, it's going to lose about 85% of its effectiveness. And so what that means is that when you think you're getting an R12 value on your insulation, you're really only getting something like an R2 or R3 value on your insulation. And then the water also compresses that insulation and gives you reduced R value. And that's true even after the insulation dries out. So even days or weeks later, when the insulation is dried out, the insulation is still compressed and you're still getting way, way reduced R value on your insulation. Obviously, water getting in can lead to some mold and mildew growth for places like schools and hospitals where we see this kind of outdoor duct a lot. That obviously causes some huge IAQ problems. What is our solution here? Our solution, which we're here to talk about today, is this ProR pre-insulated phenolic duct. And so what happens is it starts with a product called Kingspan, which is a phenolic panel. And that panel has aluminum foil on both sides of it. So these panels form the core of our duct system. So why do we use Kingspan? Well, we use it because it's the only phenolic duct allowed in the United States that's made in accordance with UL 181. That's a duct construction standard. But one of the main things we like about it is that it's 90% closed cell. So it's not like a fiberglass. So the 90% closed cell means that even if it does get wet for some reason, that it will only absorb about 0.14% of that water after a 24-hour period. So it's very, very good at not allowing water to infiltrate and to stop that mold and mildew growth in the duct. Very rigid, very high density, fiber-free. So obviously that's desirable in a lot of applications like schools and healthcare. This particular panel has, it's only 1 3/4 inches. That gives us the R12 value, which if you were just using traditional fiberglass, you would need up to 3 inches of that for that to work. It also meets the 2550 flame and smoke tests, so you can feel comfortable using it in your ductwork and in your building. So ProR as a company has been around for since about 2015, so for quite a while now. It's specifically built for outdoor use. And they're going to offer you a 10-year warranty with this product. That's how confident we are that this product is not going to deteriorate over time and start leaking. So what are we doing then with this duct? So what we're doing is it's actually a double duct system, so a duct within a duct. So we're starting with that CoolSpan phenolic panel, and then we're wrapping it with an aluminum jacket going around it. And you can see there that's a 0.040 inch aluminum piece of metal around it, and that translates to an 18 gauge piece of aluminum around that phenolic panel. So wrapping aluminum around the internal. And so we do this double duct system for a couple of reasons. And this is something our competition does not do. So this double duct system is for two reasons. It allows us to get up to like 10 inches of static pressure through that system. So even on quite large systems where you've got a lot of static pressure, this system will hold up to that. So the 10-inch is quite a bit. And the other reason we do that is to help prevent leakage on it. So what happens is when we're putting these sections together, we're not using screws or flanged together sections. We're actually doing like a Pittsburgh seam, putting these sections together. And so that's basically like a little pocket and a mating flange as it goes together. And so that means that you are not going to have any through penetrations. You're not going to have screws. You're not going to have holes. And that's really the kind of stuff that allows us to reduce the leakage on this. And so by reducing leakage, what does that mean? Well, it means less than 1% of air leakage. So traditional duct, per SMACNA standards, actually allows leakage. They expect it indoors inside of a building. So it allows you up to like 6% leakage at like 1 inch of static pressure per 100 square feet of duct. So pretty generous, and it's a good SMACNA standard. But that's not really desirable for outdoor duct. That's not going to work well for us. That's going to be too much water getting in. So our system, with our Pittsburgh seams, with our construction, is going to be less than 1% of leakage getting in that system. And because we're using those phenolic panels, even the water that gets in is not going to be absorbed into those panels. Because of all this, because of the low leakage, we do not require a sloped roof on our duct. If you're using outdoor duct, I would tell you most of the time you really, really, really should have some kind of sloped roof covering it so water does not gather and pool on that duct and just seep in. We do not require that because we have such low leakage amounts and because there's no through penetrations. There's no sealants, there's no screws, there's nothing that's going to break down and allow that water to get in over time. So we do not require that. You can see this picture shows a bunch of guys actually standing on a piece of duct, just trying to show even with that 18 gauge aluminum jacketing, it's got some interior supports, and it's very, very strong, structurally strong. But it's also very light. It's lighter than you would get with galvanized steel, carrying that up to the roof. You can get one or two guys carrying these sections along the roof. You can bring it up, and it's quite easy to handle and put into place. This I just wanted to show. The other thing we worry about sometimes is hail here in Colorado. We get a lot of hail. That's a huge problem, obviously, besides just water and wind up on your roof. And so, let's see if we got this here. No. So this guy's going to bang on this piece of duct here with a 2x4 with the edge of it. He kind of starts with the flat side of it, but ultimately he's going to kind of use the corner of it to simulate some hail. on it. And what we're going to see is that it is going to dent it for sure, as it would any duct. But normal insulation, normal duct would be ruined by a hailstorm. And this is simply going to cause some dimples, some divots there, and the ductwork is not going to be destroyed. So it holds up well, not just to water and to wind, but also to hail in our climate. So some of the highlights here that we're trying to promote here is that there's a lot of other companies that make phenolic duct. In fact, some of them even use that same cool span phenolic panels. But the problem is in the way that they construct it. And so what they end up using is, you can kind of see in some of these photos, they end up using a lot of sealant, or they'll use a lot of screws to kind of hold everything together. Well, the sealant breaks down and the screws are a through penetration. That's, ultimately you're going to get some water coming in there. Water's pretty resourceful. And this other picture here just shows where they actually took a pellet gun and shot the Pro R duct on the right and the competitor's duct here on the left. And you can see with our 18 gauge aluminum jacketing that it only dented it, whereas on the competitions, it just went right through. So there's just a lot of reasons why the quality of construction matters on this outdoor ductwork. This is available in many colors. I didn't mention that, but traditionally it's just a mill finish, but you can get it in really any color that you would like. So if it's because this is obviously very noticeable along the roof, that you might want a certain color, we are happy to provide that. We can do custom colors. We have some standard colors. And so we're happy to do all that for you. So kind of some of the wrapping up. This is a prefabricated, pre-manufactured duct for outdoor use. It starts with that phenolic panels. We put an 18 gauge aluminum jacket around there. You should or could require a leak test of the duct once it's installed. That's something that you can have done, and that it should leak less to 1%. We use our own flanges, our Pittsburgh seams, no through penetrations. So we're confident that you're not going to get leakage through our ductwork system. And there's no required sealants or adhesives. And we do offer up a 10-year warranty on this product. So really, please do not just allow someone to come up on your project and put some insulated metal and wrap some insulation around it. It might last for a couple years, at which point maybe they'll be gone, but the owner, the customer will have to live with that product for a very long time. They will get water, they will get leakage, they will have problems with it. Anytime you have outdoor ductwork, you should be using something, you should require the standards to be a bit higher. And if you're going to use a product like this, try to specify very few penetrations, no sealants. They should have a sloped roof unless they can guarantee that less than 1% leakage rate. So with that in mind, I want to thank everyone for kind of tuning in. If you have questions on this product, and I hope you do, please contact your Long salesperson. They will be happy to tell you all about it. You can contact me as well. And before we get to this week's prizes, I wanted to remind everyone next week is Thanksgiving, so we will not have a coffee break, of course, on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful, safe, restful Thanksgiving holiday, and we look forward to seeing you back here in a couple weeks, which would be December 4th. And you can look for some announcements on that, on what that topic is going to be. So this week's prizes are a $100 holiday gift card, a karaoke machine, which would be tons of fun on Thanksgiving, and a Golden Girls earrings, which would probably look wonderful in someone's stocking this year for Christmas. And again, everyone, I hope you have a fantastic holiday next week, and we look forward to seeing you here in 2 weeks. Thanks, everybody.